Welcome back to Rooted and Refined. Today is weeding day in the garden, and you probably know how I'm going to use weeds as a metaphor for growth and refinement. Yes, it's true. Weeds, just like they can take over a garden, can take over our mind. So it's important to take some time, evaluate how we can clear out those weeds and make space for more positive things in our lives. Today, let's get started on the garden. I've got a lot of weeding to do here. I've neglected this part of the garden, the front. I have a water box here that's a pop-up for a hose. It's very hard to mulch around it. It always falls down in here and it's a nightmare to clean out. So I've neglected this part of the garden. I normally come out here and weed very regularly. I haven't had a chance to do that lately. And that's another metaphor for life. Sometimes we don't give ourselves the time that we need to do the work we need to do. Today, there's no excuses. We're going to get this done. I'm using a hori-hori knife for you gardeners out there. You probably know what a hori-hori is, but if you don't, it's a great tool that helps you get underneath the root of the weed and help it more easily pop up. And sometimes, I'm going to use this as an example. This might be something that you hadn't thought of before, but I'm going to come a little closer and show you how much of a root that weed has. It's the same thing with our minds. If we don't get down to the root of the problem, are we really solving it? I could pull the tops of these weeds off all day long, but they're just going to come back. It's the same with our thoughts. If we give ourselves a chance to really evaluate what the noise is, what the root of the problem is, we're in a better position to solve it long term. I'll make a dent in these weeds today, but there will be some that will come back. I won't get them all. And it's the same way with how we live a more refined life. It takes time, it takes repetition. Building good habits doesn't happen overnight. But the more we do it, the more we practice it, the more we tend to our gardens, the more beautiful they become, the more peaceful they are to be in. I've got a big clump of grass right here, and this is a good time to talk about what is a weed. To a lot of people, this isn't a weed. This grass came from the grass that's behind me, so how could it be a weed? A weed isn't necessarily a particular species of growth or plant. It's something that's growing in a place you don't want it. So, same as with our lives. Maybe you're consumed with a hobby that you love. See my German Shepherd back there. Maybe that hobby is taking up too much of your time. Maybe that hobby is feeling more stressful than enjoyable. If you enjoy photography, but you find yourself constantly feeling like you have to make every picture perfect, every technique better, and it consumes you, is that a positive thing in your life, or is it a weed? I've got lots of clover right here. A lot of people love clover, but I don't want it right here in the middle of my bed. I do love clover. It brings pollinators, and when I lift up this plant, I see an even bigger weed. I might have missed that one before if I hadn't looked underneath the surface. So it's the same thing when we're talking about our minds, when we're talking about how to grow our peace and create serene spaces around us. We have to do these things to evaluate what we want to keep, what we can discard, or what we just want to put on hold for the moment. Maybe here's a great example. I have a plant. Let's see, can you see it? You can't see it on camera. I have a plant right here that's trying to grow. This is either Rudbeckia or Black-Eyed Susan from the space next to it, or it's a coneflower from right next to it. I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna wait. I wanna see what this grows up to be. Maybe I wanna keep it. Maybe it's gonna bring me enjoyment. It's okay to put things on hold. Evaluate it. Is it bringing you joy? Do you think it might bring you joy? Then don't worry about discarding it. Growth and refinement is a journey. We don't have to have all the answers overnight. We're not going to have all the answers overnight, and it's okay. You'll notice I'm not putting these weeds right back onto the ground after I get them out. I think when I first started gardening, I thought, I'm sure I probably did that. I probably thought, oh, I pulled it out. What's the big deal? Why do I have to get rid of it completely, burn it, or put it in a trash pile? I'm sure we all, starting out, think something that seems so obvious maybe isn't really that obvious. If I were to put these weeds right back on top of the ground, they would still root back in. The roots are resilient. They would find their way back into the soil, and all of this would be for nothing. So I'll take them and I'll put them in my fire pit. And when we get some good rain and that burn ban is lifted, they'll get burned. But until then, the sun will do a lot of taking care of the roots for me. And you could do that too. You could, if you have a place where you could just lay your weeds down. If you don't have, obviously I have a lot, but if you have a few weeds and you just kind of lay them off to the side somewhere in the sun, then the sun will bake those roots, and they'll be fine if they end up finding their way back into your garden space afterwards. But for the most part, I just like to just get rid of mine. Although it's time consuming, I really like coming out here and pulling the weeds. I don't know if you can hear the birds, but it's a peaceful day out here. And this is where I find my peace. You know, I have such a busy, hectic life. I feel like I'm constantly running around doing something. And this is just a great opportunity. Even though I am still doing something, it's a great opportunity to come out here and just kind of do nothing, if that makes any sense. Listen to the birds. Every now and then, look at that root. If you can see that. That's a big one. Every now and then a bumblebee will come by, or a hummingbird will come around. It's just peaceful out here. Tell me in the comments, where's your peace? Where do you find your peace? Is it in the garden? Is it in the gym? Is it out doing photography? Playing with your dog? Playing with your kids? Or maybe you're not at a place where you can find that peaceful place. Maybe you're here trying to find one. So let's use the comments to help those that need that help. Give us some suggestions of where people can find peace, how they can find peace. I'm going to continue weeding, and I'll meet you when I'm done. to show you an example of a plant that was very happy to grow in a space where I didn't put it. I had this Calibrachoa growing in a hanging basket last year, and clearly it seeded itself and dropped a few seeds on the ground, and this spring came up, and I've always been told that Calibrachoas don't do well in the ground, but look at this little guy. Happy as can be in this space, and although I did not put him there, I am not going to take him out. I think it's gorgeous there, and I'm going to leave it. I don't know if he'll stay there long term, but I just thought I'd share that example of something that was unexpected but found the right place at the right time and is just thriving. Well, that's tedious work, getting out there and weeding the garden, but it's important work for sure. I want to just touch on a couple of highlights that I talked about while I was out there. I talked about the roots, how, on the surface, they don't look that big of a deal. It seems like you could almost just pull them out and it's fine. But if you don't get the root of those weeds, it's never really going to go away. And even when I did get the roots of some of those weeds, I had neglected that particular area for such a long period that they've spread and more roots are going to come up. I have to stay on top of it to really take care of the problem. And isn't that the way life is as well? We think that we've touched on the surface of something. Maybe we know we have something we have to work on. Maybe we want to stop doom scrolling at night when we're trying to sleep. Maybe we want to stop reacting out of frustration. And we know that that's on the surface of our mind, but we don't really think about how to do that. What's causing us to do those things in the first place? And if you don't really consider those things, you're not really getting to the root of the problem, so it's just going to keep happening. I talked about how the backyard, the garden, is my place of peace. There's so much noise going on in the world right now. Sometimes it's hard to find that place of peace. You have to be intentional about it. Being out here is literally grounding me. Every time we turn on a screen or maybe even have a conversation with friends or colleagues, someone's trying to plant a seed of doubt or tune into the negativity, and this is how I root and refine. I want to know how you guys root and refine. I mentioned that I want this to be a community where we can all help each other discover different ways to reset, root, grow, and carry ourselves with more grace and confidence. Being in the garden for me helps me tune out the noise. There's something about the silence of the dirt that helps you reset and focus. But for you, it might be something different. You might not be into gardening. What brings you peace? Comment below. Someone else might be struggling with something that they can do to help them reset themselves, to help them root and refine. Let's help each other out. Or maybe you don't know where to start. Leave a comment of something that you've been thinking about, struggling with, and you don't know the first step to take. Let's build a community where we can help each other root and refine so that we can be grounded and carry ourselves with more grace and confidence. And the last thing that I want to say in this episode is, I told you in the first episode, my garden is not a masterpiece. I know that. It's okay. It's easy to compare ourselves to other people. It's easy to turn on social media and think, oh my gosh, what a beautiful garden they have. What a beautiful house they have. What a beautiful life they have. It's easy to look over the fence at somebody's perfect garden and compare yourself to them. But maybe you didn't see their weeding day. Maybe you didn't see the season that they were preparing the soil to make their garden grow the way that it has. And on that note, stay rooted, stay refined, and I'll see you soon.